When I pull up in the spot, they be asking what I got. Gas for an extra mile, an extra inch for the dot. When I pull up in the spot, better show me what you got. Red beam, headshots, you Welcome to another splashing episode of Podcast with Soul. My name is Sam Soul. And on today's episode, we have a very special guest. I'll let her do the introduction herself.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Palanga. I'm a mother first actually, and I'm also a radio DJ. I work for an online radio station called Radio Connect. I'm manifesting this. I'm an entrepreneur in the making.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still in the works. But yeah, so yeah, it's just a little bit to myself.
So that's all you do.
That's all I do.
So let's start with your radio gigs. Like the love for radio. When did it start?
Sure, a very long time ago actually. It started when I was young. But I don't think I had the confidence back then that I thought I needed to be in the industry or what radio. I felt like it's something that died along the way. I became a mom, I became a wife, and that became my life. Primarily, that was my life. And then just a while ago, this gig actually found me.
Oh, you didn't actually go out looking for the gig?
It actually found me. It actually found me. Yeah, and I guess the stars were aligned. It found me. And I thought, okay, this is an opportunity maybe to revive the dream that I had all those years ago. And that's what I did. I went in, I did an audition, and it worked out.
But weren't you scared first when you were doing the auditions?
I wasn't actually. I wasn't.
So you knew this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I guess so, because I had previously did a demo for another radio station, and it didn't work out. And I think, when you get rejected like that, it crushes you a little bit, right? That's what it did for me. And then, I said, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to record another demo, And luckily, I did it. I think what I did like a very, one of those WhatsApp clips.
Yeah, the voice notes.
Yeah, I think just also to make sure that, okay, she does have a voice and a bit of talent, you know what I mean? But I remember I went in, and then my very first day, it was just like, here's a mic, and I had a lady that I was co-hosting. I think that's how I started.
Okay, your show, what is it all about?
So I do the Renaissance show. The Renaissance show, it happens between 9 and 12 midday, South African time.
Because when you say midday...
Yes, yeah, South African time, because also we're a global online radio station, so yeah. So just to mention that South African time is very important. We're a talk show primarily. We're a talk show. We do a little bit of political talk, and then we just talk about stuff that affects people on the daily. Basically, that's what the show is about. Yeah.
But like you being a mother and having a radio show, the balance, how did you find the balance?
It works out for me, because maybe of the times that I am at the radio station, and that I'm able to drop off my kids at school and able to pick them up at school as well. So actually this fit right into my life perfectly. And I felt like the timing was just correct. When things just come together the way they did. And yeah, it's a great balance for me right now. It's a great balance. I get to be there for the kids, and I also get to do this that I do.
Because I find a lot of people who are saying that it's hard to be a mother and also having a 9 to 5 or to work.
Yeah, with me, I really never worked that much.
You never had a 9 to 5 before?
Well, before I had the children, I did.
Oh.
So I just mean when the motherhood came.
Okay.
So with me, I wouldn't relate because I've always been with the kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So the balance has not been that crazy for me,
But like, what was your reason before? You're saying that before the kids you had a 9 to 5,
Yes.
and then when you're having kids, you decided to stop.
I didn't. It was by default. When I fell pregnant, I was actually working for a certain company, and then it was on a contractual basis. and the contract came to an end, and I was just, then I was pregnant. I figured, let me stay home, and I stayed home for a little bit, and the baby came, and I thought maybe I can, I can do this for a year or two or something. Another baby came, and then another one came.
So you have 3?
I had 3 children.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah, 2 boys and a girl. So it wasn't something that I planned or we planned with my husband, my then husband. We didn't. It just when the baby came, then it became easier with the next. And I think as well in between, I think I tried as well to say, let me maybe try and get back into the working world. It just never worked out. And I just,
Because you're more passionate about spending time with the kids.
Yeah, I think. I mean, for me, when my first one came, I figured I was going to go back to work eventually, and I didn't. And when we realized that we could actually make it work, we did make it work with our first. Then our second also followed. And in that way, I was like, okay, maybe I could still stretch it a little bit, and that's what I did, And I did enjoy it, and I am very appreciative of that opportunity. For me, it was a great opportunity to be able to be home with my kids and raise them. For me, I don't take that for granted.
And even now, you still have time.
And even now, I still have the time to do that, you know what I mean? So, which is something that I really, really do appreciate. I don't take it for granted, none whatsoever.
But with radio, so this is your first radio gig?
This is my first radio gig. Really?
Jeez.
Like,
never had any
never,
other gig before?
never, ever. This is my first radio gig. And I'm really good.
Yeah, but you do have a voice.
I do.
Voice. Yeah, you do.
So no. This is my very first time doing this. And I was really thrown into the deep end. And you know what? I think I rose to the occasion. And I think often enough we get to be so hard on ourselves, And for me, I can actually look at this and say, you know what, I'm not really doing as badly as I thought I would.
Because now, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you would think you're doing bad, but
But
only
actually,
to find out you do
yeah.
good. But as an online radio station and with the current state of the country, do you guys get a lot of people listening to the show?
We do, and also I must also add that the station is 1 year old, and I think so far it has actually done well in terms of the listenership. It's really done well. We do get people, but I just think it's gonna take a little bit of time to convince people to
Actually, yeah.
jump ship in terms of coming to online radio station, because I think people listen to commercial radio because it's tried and tested. You know what I mean? So you find that in our case, we actually have to go an extra mile doing a lot of marketing for our radio station, but also for our shows as well, just to make people aware that we are around, and then we are an alternative in case you are looking for something different. We are an alternative and you can listen to us. So yeah.
Because a lot of people lately, they've been talking about how podcasts are going to replace radio. Do you agree with that, or do you think they're going to coexist?
I don't think so. I don't think they can coexist. I don't necessarily think that podcasts will replace radio. I think they will coexist. I think there's a space enough for both. And I think because with each generation has their thing, right? And I think the generations that we are in right now, they might be more inclined to listen to podcasts and YouTube channels and. But I doubt that the radio is going to die. I think, when all of this was introduced, there was that fear. And it was a genuine fear, like, is this really going to happen? I don't really think so.
Because a lot of people with radio find certain shows, they scripted to a certain extent.
Yeah.
With podcasts, it's just
most
podcasts.
Yes.
I would say all of them.
Yeah, because it's not censored, right? Because when now your shows are sponsored and all and this and the other, you have to limit what you can say, how far you can go with a subject. You can't
just go there.
Yeah. So with podcasts, most times there's that freedom of speech where you can actually talk about anybody, and no one is actually going to say anything to you.
That's how it is. Like,
you know what I mean?
Anything,
yes.
anyhow.
Yeah. Anyhow.
Let's talk a bit about mental health, because we never really touch on such topics and how it affects a lot of women in South Africa.
Yeah.
We never really get to talk about it.
I think the thing with mental health, it's for me, I think that there's a stigma, obviously, and that people don't find it hard to talk about it because first you don't want to be regarded as weak. First of all, attention seeking, mostly.
Yeah, in most cases.
In most,
Yeah, nah.
yeah, no,
Attention.
you just want like some sort of a special attention. So, but also is when you're not sure what mental illness is, and you don't know, even you yourself that are going through those things, you are not sure what you are going through. So oftentimes they will come up as she's you feel tired, you don't want to engage with people. There's just a lot of things that you don't want to do anymore. And you don't even know what's going on with yourself. It's just you lose interest in a whole lot of things. So first of all, the recognition has to start with you to realize that I am going through something. I just don't know what it is, and maybe and that process takes time as well to realize that actually there is something wrong with me, and now I have to seek help. And the first form of help is maybe family and friends or whoever is around you.
But in the black community now,
It's difficult. It's difficult, and that's where I was gonna go and say, you know what? Sometimes it's hard in our community because it's not something that we've ever spoken about, And I mean, we're now in a generation where we can have things like mental awareness and say, listen, if you live with a family member or with a friend or whatever, and they're, exhibiting these sorts of symptoms and whatever, this is what they might be going through. At least now there are those things. Before there weren't those things, You grew up and then you didn't understand. I tell people that I think I experienced my first signs of depression. I was about 15. And when you think of me at 15, it was lively, it was jovial. I was like all these sorts of things. But I think when I was alone, I had just deep feelings of I just felt so sad, and I couldn't even explain to the next person why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. You know what I mean? And I didn't even realize that I think up until I was 25.
Jeez.
I swear.
Yeah,
up until I was 25, and this is where things start to take shape. You start to understand yourself a little bit better. Where I was able to say, yeah, you know what? Maybe there is something wrong with me. But also because of the mental awareness. Now, when somebody says something, whether on TV or on radio, and you hear, you're like, wait a minute, that sounds like me.
Yeah,
and that's when I started, just doing a little bit of research about it. I'm like, okay, maybe I could be this. And then I did go see a psychologist and a psychiatrist. I was put on medication for a while.
But how was like when you decided that you were okay, this is what you want to do, you gotta go through the process. Was it hard at first, or you just felt like I really need this?
It was really hard. I was having a hard time, and this was during the first few. I had already had my first baby. So I think my first baby was around 2 or 3 at the time, and I was married then. But I'm telling you, I couldn't function. I would just be like, and every day would be like a drag. And that's when I knew that, there's something wrong. There must be something that's going on with me. Maybe let me talk to someone. I talked to a health practitioner who said to me, you know what, for me, from what I'm observing, this is what I think is going on with me. And that's when I took the steps to
But weren't you in denial at first? Be like, I will mark.
No, I wasn't in denial because it clicked. For me, it clicked because remember I had lived in this shadow almost, because it feels like a shadow. In this shadow for almost all my life. Because it comes and goes, right? It has a spirit, it comes and goes. And when they mentioned this, I was like, you know what? A lot of things are starting to make sense. So for me, I was like, okay, I need the help. So I need to get help. So for me, it wasn't, the hardest part was having to tell family and friends, which I actually never did. I think I only told close friends.
With family.
Yeah, no. It was hard even to just disclose it to my partner at the time, to say, listen, I'm going through this and this is the issue. And then the saddest thing as well is that when you do tell people, they don't understand and they don't take the steps to want to understand. And therefore, it becomes your thing that you need to deal with. And I think this is why it's so hard for a lot of people to just come out and say, I'm struggling with this, because sometimes it's the response that people get. It's not what they expect. Because you would expect that people rise up and help you. And oftentimes people also don't understand as well.
Yeah,
it's not that they don't want to, but they just don't understand. They're like, what do you mean you feel sad for no reason? It's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, like what do you mean? Also, I want to
Exactly. Then you know what I mean. I mean, I've been told everything from go to gym and whatever. Which I mean, I tried all of that, and which they do help.
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent. But if you don't deal with the root of the problem, it's just going to keep piling up. But it's not an easy subject to talk about. It's not an easy subject to tell people about or come out to people about. It's really not.
Because some they end up being suicidal, and
Absolutely.
we tend to judge them.
Yeah, we really do. We really do, and this is where the weakness part comes in.
Yeah,
because then now, because we even are, we will literally, I mean, really, so that's why people also don't want to talk about it, because then they feel that, I may be labeled as weak, and people don't like that. And therefore you keep it to yourself and say,
and the next thing we're going to be relating, you should have said 1, 2, 3. You didn't say anything, which is something that I think we need to actually learn more about mental health and depression and other things, so we can understand.
We can understand, and especially if you are in a position where you live with, or you've got friends, or you work with people. It doesn't really take much to just find out, to say, what is this? What are they dealing with? Because to me, I don't understand. But it's a big thing.
But also in the Black community, we don't really have time. Like, we don't have time to be studying about mental health and stuff like that. We're like, no, Babasha.
Yeah, I guess. But I feel like also on some scale, I think we're doing a lot better. I feel like at least we're doing a little better. I really tend to think like, okay, we're making progress in some ways, It's still a journey.
But have you ever like tell your family this is what's happening, I'm going through 1, 2, 3?
Not formally. Like I said, I think initially I told my partner at the time. I think it took a little bit of time for them to understand. But I don't think I've told my family, and I think I told 1 or 2 of my friends. And I don't think I've actually ever actually said, I'm dealing with this, and this is who I am, and this is what I'm facing. I never really did.
But did you get the support that you needed at the time from the friends that you told?
Yeah, I did.
Obviously, your partner was really supportive at the time.
Yeah, I did. But a lot of it becomes a journey, because people get tired.
Yeah, people do.
People get tired. And sometimes we are hard on people, but I feel like people get tired. But as much as they can, they do support you. But I feel like a lot of it becomes your journey.
Where you need to actually...
It really does. It becomes a personal journey. And this could be like getting help in terms of maybe medication, going to therapy, just taking steps that are actually going to make you feel better. And especially if you're surrounded by people, because people also do understand, but to a certain extent as well. Yeah, they understand, but true, actually, they do, but they actually don't understand. So a lot of these demons you're fighting, they're very personal. You know what I mean? So then you have to make it a personal choice at that point to say, okay, do I fight them or do I let them defeat me?
But with people who are too religious, they think it's just demons.
You do get those things. You do get people that believe that actually mental issues are demonic and can be prayed for, and you can you will be saved. And I don't want to say that I entirely dispute that statement, but I'm just saying,
it might be true.
You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is that when you are helping somebody, give them all the tools, right? Don't just focus on one. So if I'm going to come through and say, maybe you may be possessed,
Yeah, because they'll be like, no, but that's not payable.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But also just, let's talk about things. Why do you feel the way you feel? Before I can lay hands on you and pray for you, can I also just try and understand what it is that you are going through as a person? Because some of these problems, honestly, they just need solutions in real time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In real time. And probably, somebody just has a problem in saying, I need help because, I haven't eaten in 3 days. I need help because I need this and I need that and I need the other. So maybe sometimes just talking to people, and that's most of it is. Because I think mostly that it's just a fear of being judged, and therefore you just close yourself in.
Yeah, because we always have that thing where we're like, what's battering? Let me just lock myself in the house, and not taking time to deal with those issues.
You know what I mean?
And which is something that we need to do.
So the approach has to be different. I think the approach has to be different, whether from the church perspective, home, school, and I think it's and especially we come from 2 years of lockdown, guys, and I think most of us at this point,
that's where
when you talk mental, when you talk mental illness now, actually people do get it a little bit because at some point or the other, somebody felt some sort of heaviness that they might have been unable to explain that heaviness to say, yeah, no, there was a point where I thought I was not. So I think we need to, the approach has to be different, but it has to be available. There has to be support available. Work, and I know now they really do. They have people on hand, schools, and even churches, Sometimes people are just going through a hard time. They just want somebody to listen to them.
But do you think lockdown did affect a lot of people?
It really did. It really did. It really did. And another thing that lockdown did? For me, I feel like lockdown unveiled our lives to people in a way that we, sometimes we push a certain image to people. And what lockdown came and did was to say, you can't pretend anymore.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people are facing.
Yes, the reality came.
Some people they find different things to cope.
Yes.
Alcohol.
Oh, you know what I mean, and also just in terms of affording the lifestyles we live as well. Because then COVID came in and made you realize that, okay, maybe I may not afford this car.
I can't anymore. And you have to
maybe I may not afford this house. Maybe I may not afford to take my kids to a certain school or a certain lifestyle that I have been living. Because now work was cut, either people were retrenched, a lot of things did happen. And that made, you know what I mean? That made a lot of things a reality, and I'm like, oh my goodness, okay.
I think it was more of a reality check.
It really was. For a lot of people, it was a reality check. Because at that point, you had a choice to make to say, do I keep pushing this image that I have created? Or do I really just pull myself together and say, okay, this is my reality, and this is actually how I'm going to deal with my life as it is. Yeah, and this is where you find a lot of people actually had a lot of depression, just realizing that one morning I woke up, my life was okay. The next day, it's just really not. You know what I mean?
And you realize that, no, I'm not okay.
Yeah, you're not okay. Can you imagine you being retrenched and now in 2 months' time you don't have an accommodation anymore because you can't pay rent anymore, you can't afford to take your kids to the school that they used to go to. A lot of things. So a lot of people's realities were changed, and that can lead and that actually led a lot of people into depression.
Yeah, because I think in the last year we lost a lot of people.
We really did. We really did, and due to suicide. Yeah, we really did. Yeah.
And most of them, you could tell, this person was happy.
Yeah.
There was this. I think also losing money, losing everything. Also, it gave me a sense of, okay, this might happen. It also
it really has to affect you. Yeah. Because there's nothing easy about waking up one morning, your world is a certain way, and then the next thing. And it's not like also we were easy on each other, because that's another thing as well. We're not so kind with each other. If somebody loses something and it becomes a topic.
Yeah, it becomes a topic.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like, it was not his car, he rented the car. Like I think also even society, we reach a point where we always want to police other people's lives.
We do, we absolutely do.
And we find pleasure in their misery. Like
we do, because you know why? Because then it also comes to the fact that because they're not as perfect as they present themselves. But also because the people measure themselves with other people as well. So when I then find out that, Mpho's not really doing as well as I thought she did, okay. Yeah, then you do find, that's where people find, pleasure in celebrating other people's miseries.
Then they'll be sharing those.
Yeah.
Like,
because it brings some sort of comfort to you just to realize, okay, this was just a house of cards and now it's literally falling. And then people are actually,
Which is not a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
The society that we live in is just...
Yeah.
Because it's just
it's really not a good thing, but unfortunately we're surrounded by these people.
Yeah, it's our people.
Yeah.
And also they will police you on what to do and what not to do.
That's true as well. That's true. Because I think, you know where that comes from? We have an issue with people that are choosing to live their lives differently from us. So when somebody tries and take a path that we may not necessarily understand, it makes us a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Like, why is she able to do that?
We rap.
Yeah, why is she able to do that? Why is she able to dress like that? Why are they able to talk like that? Why are they able? So it makes us a little bit uncomfortable because they've chosen a path that the rest of people haven't. So we do have issues with that.
And I'm just totally wrong.
Well, I don't. Yeah. I don't know why, but we really do. We don't like it when somebody says, "Listen, I'm different, and I'm actually choosing to live in that way."
And I'm moving differently.
Exactly.
This is how I'm making my money. This is what I do. Because we tend to want to know from the top. If we don't, if it gets to a point where we don't know, we don't see from that shelter, we're thinking, if it's as a man, we'll be like, no, corruption, you know.
And if it's a woman, she's probably sleeping with him.
Yeah, we'll be like, nah, she's sleeping with Bamba.
To be able to have that kind of a lifestyle. That's true.
And a lot of people are working hard.
People are working hard in silence. Yeah, really are. And then, not to say that those things don't exist. They do exist.
But people do work for their money.
I just think it makes me feel better. If I'm not doing much and the girl next door, it just makes it somehow makes you feel better that, okay, it's not because of their hard work. It's actually because of somebody else's hard work that they get to live this life.
They'll be like, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Those type of things.
Yeah, true. That's true. When we don't understand where your wealth comes from,
it's a problem.
What you did to get it, it becomes a problem to us.
So, with the current state of the country, and you're raising 3 kids, does it affect you? Are you worried about the future? What will happen?
It has to. It absolutely has to. As a parent, it really does. I mean, we live in a very unsafe country.
Yeah, it's very
and not
unsafe.
to say you're giving bad rap to your country, but the
it's
reality of it is that it's unsafe. And this is the country that you're trying to raise your children in. And this is the country that you're going to possibly leave them in, because you're going to die and leave them here. And as much as you try to make your immediate world as comfortable as possible, you can't filter what goes on in the world. You still need to send them to the world. They still have to go to school. They still have to go, do a whole lot of things out there. So it is actually quite scary as a parent having to raise kids right in this generation.
Because everything is high. Like, there's too many use of drugs.
There's just
it's just too many things that are happening.
There's just too many. And I think the biggest thing that you do as a parent is just pray that, they are able to take whatever teachings or whatever values you're trying to instill in them, so that they can carry them through life. Actually, that's all you depend on right now. Because I can't guarantee that the world will be kind to them.
The world is
I can't guarantee that that's going to work out or whatever is not going to work out. The best I can do is just instill values in them that will carry them through life's challenges. I've got 2 boys and a girl. And with my kids, actually, and I say this all the time, right? And I realize that I parent them differently, right? And I remember someone said this and said, I've got a boy and a girl. And I'm finding myself raising the boys and the girl a little bit differently, which I also am finding myself doing that as well. So what I tend to do, I tend to be a little bit harder on the boys. On the girl than the boys. Because I just think the world is a little bit too harder on women, man.
The country.
But generally as a woman, I just think you have to fight 10 times harder just to get to where you want to be. So I tend to be a little bit harder, you want to toughen it. It's just a tough cookie already, right? It's just tough. And I often say, I wasn't that tough. She's really, really tough. And all I do, I pray is that I hope I can channel this toughness in the correct way, that she can be able to grow up and be able to stand up for herself, because the world is not kind to women, but it's not kind to everyone, but it's really not kind to girls a lot of times, So it's scary. It's scary raising kids in this country.
But you think it's safe for women in this country?
It's not. not. It's absolutely not.
But what are the things that you feel like they need to change in order for them to feel safe in this country?
Sure. Where can we start?
Besides firing the police,
I mean, and absolutely, this is where law enforcement will have to come in, honestly. And the justice system will have to come in as well to help. Because I can't speak to another person's child, you know what I'm saying? What I can do is try and raise my boys right, tell them that you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this and the other. Say it as it is. And you have to start as young as they are right now. I've got an 11-year-old, but I'm already talking these things with him, in terms of just being a boy and a responsible boy. And also you don't want to give that child that much responsibility already, but also you just need,
that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah, but also you just want them to be aware of the world that we live in, So it's absolutely, for me, a lot would change. It would have to start in our household, and how we are bringing these boys up, and how we are holding them accountable. When a child does something wrong, can we hold these kids accountable? I feel like we need to hold them accountable. If my child does something wrong, I need to tell them that they did wrong, and there has to be consequences of that. Because I just think in that way, it teaches them responsibility and to know what's right and what's wrong, But in terms of what I or you can do to change the state of the country,
So you think we should just reset everything, go back when I said that?
Listen, what do you mean by reset? Because I am good with that reset.
Like, you think that we need to have a reset button of
Absolutely. Yeah, because is it fixable? Because I think the question is is it fixable? I'm not quite sure if it's fixable.
But I think it is. It is.
You think it is?
It is. I think it is. To a certain extent, I think it is. Because if we decide to actually change the whole leadership, we can't be having a 70-year-old running a country.
How are we going to do that?
We just need youth, young people. But
they don't care anymore.
Yeah, it seems like it's all about making them.
And it's not that they don't care because they don't care. They don't care because they've tried and nothing has happened. I think you have a lot of youth now. They're just not interested in voting because they'll tell you, why am I voting?
Yeah, mostly they don't care.
Yeah, like why am I voting?
Yeah, like why am I voting?
Yeah.
I'm still gonna vote for the same person, and it's still gonna do the same thing.
So I feel like the youth has given up in some sort of way. Really, like, listen, if change happens, it will happen. If it doesn't, we just rough it through because that's what we are doing on the daily. Anyway.
But do you think that AIDS was ready to actually run the country?
It was. It was. I absolutely do think it was. I just think somewhere along the way, people lost the reason why they were doing what they were doing.
Not personally, I don't think they were ready. I don't think they had a plan. I don't think they really had a proper plan.
But like, if not them, then what? We would still be stuck in the old regime, you know what I mean? But I really think they were. Maybe yes, they overestimated the work that they had in front of them. Maybe, but I absolutely did. But I just think at one point or the other they lost focus.
Because now it's all about who's stealing more.
Yeah.
Because I think if we were actually having a proper leadership, the country would be in a better state.
It would definitely.
Where you could actually raise kids.
It would definitely be. But I think today, as a people, I'm a little bit disappointed because I'm not feeling very positive or excited about the future. I really not. We just don't know. We just really don't know. I mean, we've got the 2024 elections coming, next year. I mean, in 2 years' time, rather. And do I believe that anything different is going to happen? I really don't believe that.
And now there's load shedding. We're on stage, I don't know, stage 6 or stage 10.
Yeah, we're on stage 6.
But does it affect you guys, your radio station? And
But it definitely does. I mean, we do have, backup system. But this backup system only can run also for a certain amount of hours, you know what I mean? And now when you are entering something like stage 6, then what happens to our business, you know what I mean? I mean, we've put measures in place in terms of this is, if we don't have power, this is what goes on. But now with the introduction of the stage 6, I mean, really, what must we do?
yeah, it becomes hectic.
It really does
very
become
hectic.
personal. I mean, really. And I think as a small business owner in this country, I mean, a lot of businesses have to close, not because of anything like load shedding.
No shading.
Yeah.
But you think that there's a solution to it, or nje ixolo uqhubeka nje,
I think there is a solution to it.
but they just don't want it.
I just don't want to implement it. I just feel like also they have gauged how far we can actually, how long and we can handle it, and then they're like, okay, it feels like,
They're good. These people can handle it.
these people can handle it. So they just keep pushing the limit. How do we get to stage 6, honestly? How do we get to a time where you don't have electricity for most of the day
It's
in
like
your
eight
household?
hours, the whole 8 hours.
How do we get to that place?
'Cause it's
How do you get anything done? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I do believe that there should be a solution. I believe there should be a solution.
But they've been saying that for the past 10 years, that now there's a solution. Next year,
Was I not shocked when I found out that it was 10 years? Because it just feels like it started 4 years ago. I know, remember when it started? It's like, yeah, it's been 10 years actually. And because I remember when it started when it felt like, because it would come once in a while. And
Stage
it felt like,
1,
yeah, and then it felt like, no man, things are gonna go back to normal. And then it just became worse and worse and worse. And now here we are. I heard on the news today that there's a possibility that we might head to stage 8.
what's going to be happening in stage 8? We're going to be having
Blackout.
total blackout.
Total blackout. I'm sure we're gonna wake up in the morning and don't have electricity for the entire duration of the
It's going to
day.
be more like Nigeria now, where they're going to be having electricity for a couple of hours, then it goes again.
Yeah, see, when I say that sometimes you don't have, you're not excited about the future. This is some of these things that make you feel a little bit like, oh my goodness, is this where we are at as a country? But this is where we are at as a country.
But like, if you could be given a chance, what would you change? Let's just say they decide to like go on a pro. Can you just be president for a couple of years, maybe 2 years? What are the first things you would change?
I'll change the cabinet. Can we just start there? I believe there's youth with fresh ideas, with a fresh way of doing things that really can come in and fix the state of the country. That are really capable, they're educated, and they're absolutely intelligent enough to turn this country around. Until that happens, there's nothing that's going to change it.
Because now it seems like it's all about connections. Who knows who?
Yeah.
In order for you to actually get a certain position in certain places.
Yeah, I mean, we cannot have the same people being reshuffled every time from one position to the other, one position to the other. Like, we actually don't see new people coming in, and especially the youth. You know what I mean? I really believe that if they to give the youth of South Africa a chance, things may actually be a lot more different in how things will change in this country. That's where the real change lies. But up until then,
Nothing will change.
no. I mean, if we keep looking at this in the same direction and saying, no, this is our solution is going to come from this, and we don't have another person coming in and saying, listen, no. Actually, maybe if we shifted our direction to this side, maybe, and then we're like, oh yeah, actually you are right, because okay, but no, everybody's looking that way, and this is how everybody's thinking towards, So no, we're not going to change.
Okay, let's go back to radio. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Like, do you see yourself working for a different radio station, or you want to grow with the brand that you
I definitely want to grow with the brand that I think it's got a great potential in South Africa as a radio station. But obviously, if opportunities do come, however, in whatever form, one will take them on. And like I said, this is a dream that I had a long time ago, that I didn't even think there was a possibility that I could live it. And now that I am, there's a lot of excitement as well in terms of all the sorts of things and kind of things that I can do actually in the media space. So I think I'm going to be here for a while.
But did you study media or?
No, I didn't.
Having passion for it.
It's just having passion for it.
Okay, what's your take on influencers becoming getting radio gigs, like big commercial radio stations?
I don't know. God chose them. I'm not trying to get into trouble or nothing. But yeah.
But it seems like now it's all about the numbers.
I mean, yeah, I suppose. But you know what I've seen as well? I've seen how also the very same influencers have fallen off as well. They do get the gigs, but do they really have the stamina to run through it? Sometimes they don't.
Yeah, some they do.
Some they do.
Some they're just fortunate.
I guess so. But a lot of it I've watched, and a lot of them, and especially when it comes to like radio spaces, where you've seen them, they came in and they left. So sometimes people often don't even realize the work that is waiting for them. But unfortunately, we live in that space right now, where the amount of followers that I have, I could be the most talented person ever, but it won't really matter because who actually follows me? Nobody follows me. So she's not gonna. She's not gonna bring any people. She's not gonna bring any revenue to our production or whatever it is. Which is said also for people that have studied this, the media. People have gone to study to be actresses, voice-over artists, radio, journalists, all of these things. And then now you have somebody just from a few clicks on the internet, now they are given this space and given all this money, by the way. So it really is sad. That is sad. Sometimes I do believe that some of them do have talent.
Yeah, some they do. Some they just
taking chances.
Yeah, they just taking chances. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. So some do, because then they'll start off just as like influencers, and then they do get brought into these spaces, and actually they flourish because they do have some sort of talent. But it's actually sad for the people that have actually worked hard. And it's like watching on TV where you see people, same faces being recycled over and over again.
See me on different channels.
Yeah.
Acting here.
Yes, yeah.
There.
There's a new drama coming up, and then there's just the same cast from a previous, production, and yeah. So then you have to ask yourself, but where are they? Because then you have to. There's a lot of actors and actresses in South Africa, and oftentimes you ask yourself, where are they? What are they doing? You only hear stories about them years later, and they're like, it's hard to come back into the industry, or maybe I took a break for a minute, or I did this and I did that, and it was hard to break back in. And this, you're talking talented people. We're really talking talented people. But yeah, the game is hard.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
It really is hard.
So what would you tell the 21-year-old? What kind of message would you give to the 21-year-old?
I just said be easy on yourself. I think I was a little bit hard on myself when I was 21. I think I wanted to be a specific person that the world told me to be. So I didn't fully live out my truth and exist in who I knew I was. So the 21-year-old me, I remember. She was smart, she was funny, extremely funny. She was beautiful. But she was just too hard on herself, and I felt like she was trying to live for everyone like herself. So just take it easy. I'm sorry.
But that's, I think that's the mistake that a lot of us made.
Yeah.
Like we're just too hard on ourselves.
Really were.
And also wanted to live according to the society.
It's standard, whether it's parents, it's family, it's the church, whole lot of things. You wanted to, yeah. And it's hard to break out of that.
Yeah, it is.
It really is hard to break out of that. I mean, I'm 37 years old now, and feel like I can breathe in my own skin.
Which is a very good thing.
It's a good thing, but damn, did it have to take me this long? Did it really have to
You
take
don't-
me
you
this
don't-
long
you
to
don't-
get to the point that I am right
It
now?
always takes this long. You're free.
Because I also
You're
do
free.
believe in some way that, if you were not that hard on yourself, things like, maybe pushing this radio career, I could have started it way back. And I think it was just a lot for me, a lot of things, and I just was looking at other people and other things and just, yeah.
Not focus on yourself.
Yeah. But it was not all in vain. It was not all in vain. Because things do work out, one thing for sure. They do
Yeah,
work out.
things do work out.
They may take a little bit of time, but like in the end, they do work out. They absolutely work out.
So in closing, what can you actually give the viewers at home a message? What kind of message?
Message. Just follow your heart. I think follow your heart. Do what makes you happy. The world is gonna tell you so much about who you should be, but you should also be able to know who you are. What is it that you want, and what is it that you want to do, and how you want to do it, and be able to just live out the truth, live out your true self. A lot of things can fall off, a lot of things. Because you're the most important person in your life at the end of the day. Without you, nothing else exists in your life. So if you are not in your happy, most fulfilled space, you can't function. So just do what actually makes you feel happy and what fulfills you.
Yeah, that's great though. That's great though.
I think, you win that.
Yeah, I
Then
think
you
that's,
don't have to follow people's ways or doing things. You don't have to second guess yourself. But the worst thing you can do is second guess yourself.
which is what's a bad thing.
It really is not a good thing. Yeah, it really isn't.
Okay, thank you for coming to the show.
I'm very
really
appreciated.
loved having you on the show, and maybe we'll call you again soon.
No, I'll definitely
Actually-
come back. I'll definitely come back.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Don't forget to listen to me on Radio Finish. www.radioFinish.co.za. I'm not quite sure if I'm allowed to do this.
You are actually.
Yeah.
What time is your show?
My show is 9 to 12 in the morning, but I also do the weekend breakfast 6 to 9. It's called the Weekend Fix.
That's
Every
great.
Saturday.
So it's every Saturday.
Yeah, every Saturday.
Should I think,
Yeah,
so you work Monday to
June.
Saturday?
Listen, I'm thinking.
Yeah, you work.
Yeah.
When I pull up in the spot, they be asking what I got. Gas for an extra mile, an extra inch for the dot. When I pull up in the spot, better